Breaking tonight, Fox News just confirming a critical new pick for President-elect Trump, with a job offer going to a controversial candidate, one you know very well. Good evening and welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. Topping the list of priorities for the President-elect, building the team that will protect this country at one of the most uncertain times in our history. Just moments ago, Fox News confirming that President-elect Trump has picked former Obama administration military intelligence chief, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, to be his national security advisor. This is a critical post in the national security landscape. It will not be without controversy, but it will be without Senate confirmation, which is not needed for that job. We're going to get into this in just 1 minute. Among the other candidates who visited Mr. Trump today, legendary foreign policy giant Henry Kissinger, South Carolina governor, and reported candidate for Secretary of State, possibly, Nikki Haley, head of the National Security Agency, Admiral Mike Rogers, and our next guest, retired four-star general and former Vice Chief of Staff of the United States Army, General Jack Keane, who says this country is facing global security challenges on a scale not seen since the rise of the Soviet Union. General Keane in a moment. But we begin tonight with Chief National Correspondent Ed Henry, who is here with me in New York, on the breaking news and the transition. You just broke this, you just confirmed this, so it's a deal.
Lieutenant General Mike Flynn, he's been offered it. He has not officially accepted it, but widely accepted that he will take this post. Why it is significant that he's being appointed to a top White House job is, as you say, he's made very controversial statements about Muslims before. He's taken on President Obama, challenged him on national security. That's why he got forced out. And so Democrats would want a pound of flesh if he was nominated to a post like Defense Secretary or Secretary of State. This allows President-elect Donald Trump to get him installed right into the White House.
And terror investigations are ripping apart the safe house rented by the Brussels terrorist brothers. Former Director of Defense Intelligence, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, goes on the record. Good evening, sir.
Hi, Greta. Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you, sir. Are we giving our intelligence services here in the United States everything they need to do their jobs?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Greta, let's lay out a couple of things here, and I won't get too long in the tooth here, but first of all, having Staff Sergeant Johnny Jones on our team is an incredible asset because we're going to need him in the future. To specifically answer your question, the intelligence services of our country are doing everything that they can, but they need to be unleashed when it comes to developing much more human intelligence, not only in Iraq and Syria, but helping our friends and allies around the world. We have to be able to do more. We're going to have to put the resources into that, and they're going to have to shift resources from other priorities that we're involved in. And you know, what you laid out, Greta, up front, is you laid out kind of the what has occurred here in this latest attack. We're going to have more of these attacks, and we're going to have more of these attacks, Greta, because we have not clearly defined why they are coming at us the way they're coming at us. I believe I know why. And the other thing is the so what. What are we going to do about it? What action are we going to take? So we're going to see more of this, and we're going to keep meeting like this, sad to say.
All right, so what is the why? Why do you think they are?
The why, because there is a deep-seated ideology within the Islamic religion, and it is a strongly held, cancerous form of this religion, and we have to recognize it for what it is. And it's this, you know, it's the term radical Islamism that everybody gets bent out of shape about, and all the people that want to be politically correct and want to apologize for, you know, using a term like that, that it is very, very real. And we're talking about a large number. If you look at the last 6 months since October, we've had 75 attacks, at least 75 attacks that have resulted in death or serious injury outside of Iraq and Syria, so in other places around the world. That's just in the last 6 months alone. I mean, some of those have resulted in over 100 deaths a couple of times. So we're talking about hundreds, if not thousands of people killed, and certainly thousands of people wounded in the last 6 months outside of Iraq and Syria. So the campaign plan that I believe that this enemy is on is being very effective. Our strategy, Greta, is not working.
All right, President Obama hasn't said radical Islam, or at least I don't recall that he has. He certainly gets criticism for not saying it. Would it make a difference if he embraced that term or not?
What makes the difference is clearly defining the enemy that we are facing. Once you do that,
Does he do that?
No, he doesn't do that. Obviously, he hasn't done that. And you know, it's funny. I listened a little bit to Secretary Clinton today. She came close. She came very close. She called it radical jihadism. You know, I mean, we've got to get off the dime, Greta. This is really unbelievable. And I, frankly, you know, be very blunt, I'm sick of it, because we are going to have another one of these attacks, and we have to, you know, you're doing your job, the media is doing their job to sort of dissect the bombs and the individuals and all of the tactical things. But at the end of the day, we're going to continue to have these attacks, and we're going to continue to have these interviews like this if we don't figure out an international strategy. And we're going to have to get the Muslim world involved, and the Muslim world has to wake up, otherwise it's going to bite them in the rear end.
All right. If you were in the Oval Office with the president tonight, and he said to you, what should I do? Am I doing enough? Your answer is what?
My first thing would be get back to the Oval Office, because this is a problem that we have to come to grips with. My first thing with him would be we have to organize ourselves much better than we already are inside of this country, and we have to make sure that we have the leadership involved that needs to be involved and has the authorities to basically do what they're being asked to do. When our military, our intelligence, our other resources that we have to keep coming back to the National Security Council and to the White House for Mother May Eyes, nothing will happen, Greta, and it's just not going to happen on the speed that these guys are operating at. The enemy that we're facing are operating at a much higher speed today, both in social media and in the world of cyber, as well as tactically on their battlefield. Brussels is their battlefield. Paris is their battlefield. San Bernardino is their battlefield. We don't look at it like that. We have to do that. So that's the first thing I would do, is tell the president that. And then we can start to figure out what we need to do internationally. But we have to get our own house in order first.
General, thank you very much for joining us. Hope you'll come back soon, sir.
Yeah, I sure will. I hope I don't have to come back for another reason like this.
Indeed.
We want to bring in former Defense Intelligence Agency Director and National Security Advisor to Donald Trump, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. Good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Maria. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations to you. The work begins now. What do you see as Donald Trump's big priorities?
Yeah, I think that Donald Trump, the kinds of things that he has been talking about, you know, and I think it's sort of America first and really looking hard at the kinds of things that we need to do here. You know, as he said out on the campaign trail many times, the three most important words that we have right now in our vocabulary, and they need to stay there for a while, is jobs, jobs, jobs. And I've always said, Maria, that the #1 threat to our national security is our economic health. If our economic health is not strengthened, then we are going to be challenged not only here at home but around the world. And that, in fact, is the case. So he is going to have to really focus on the economy, building up the economy, providing opportunities, continuing to provide hope and inspiration, and basically give a lot of Americans, an awful lot of them that voted for him yesterday, you know, it's sort of that desire or inspiration to achieve the American dream.
Yeah, and then there's foreign policy. I want to ask you about how easy or tough it would be to reverse the Iran deal and also keep the border safe. Last night in his victory speech, Donald Trump spoke of positive foreign relationships. Watch. I want to get your reaction.
Yeah.
We will get along with all other nations, willing to get along with us. We will be. We'll have great relationships. We expect to have great relationships. No dream is too big. No challenge is too great.
And, Lieutenant, already the world is reacting, General, to Trump's victory. One of the first foreign leaders to congratulate Trump on his win was Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Afghan Taliban put out a statement which called on President-elect Donald Trump to withdraw American troops from Afghanistan. Are the reactions we are seeing from around the world positive?
Yes. So let me tell you something. And, you know, everybody's going to play up, you know, a telegram or whatever Putin sent. But let me tell you, you know, in the last, I mean, I don't know even what time it is right now, 8:30 East Coast time. So, I mean, you know, it's between the hours of 4 and 6 o'clock East Coast time. And I'm going to tell you, Donald Trump made that statement in his speech last night, not off the cuff. That's because over the last couple of months, Maria, we have gotten such positive messages from leaders around the world, from Asia to Europe to the Middle East. And I will tell you, between the hours of 4 and 6, I personally received at least a half a dozen phone calls from leaders around the world to make sure that they, that they got their message to Donald Trump. And in a couple of cases, I called him up early this morning before he put his head down for an hour to let him know that. So there's many, many other leaders, and there's a lot of leaders in the Muslim world. So all these people that say, well, the Muslims are going to be concerned, let me tell you, 5 of at least, and I just off the top of my head, I think I had 8 calls. 5 of those calls were from Arab leaders who said, thank you so much. We really appreciate the fact that, that the kind of positions that Donald Trump has taken. I mean, this world needs U.S. leadership. That's what the world needs. And we're going to have U.S. leadership when we have a strong economy. That's number one.
General Flynn, we know obviously what's happening in Iraq with Mosul. What is your sense of the direction that Donald Trump will be taking in terms of the actions of obviously the American military involved in Iraq and helping the Iraqi forces take over Mosul?
Well, the first thing really is to make sure that the military feels like they have the absolute full support and that the commander-in-chief is connected from that hat all the way down to a soldier in a foxhole, so to speak. I mean, there's a disconnect. I mean, let's face it. There's definitely a disconnect. And we don't need that kind of a disconnect right now. This is not only about unifying our country, this is about unifying every aspect of what it is that we're doing. And I would just say strategically at this point in time, the points that Donald Trump brought out about re-strengthening our military, those are very, very important. That's not going to happen in the first 100 days, but that message has resonated, and I will tell you that we are going to strengthen our military. And for those, like Donald said last night, he said, for those countries that want to be friends of ours, right? That's a very, very subtle way of saying America leadership is back, and we are going to continue to lead the way our country is supposed to lead, with character, with strong strategic leadership, and with a real sense of humility for who we are as Americans as well, because that's a big part of our DNA.
People, what we see. You gotta love it. It is. I mean, come on. I am tired of it personally. I mean, enough is enough. Get these people in our rearview mirror and get them the heck out of our way so we can get this country moving again, right? Exactly. And there's a whole bunch of, there's a lot of good signs going on. A lot of the polls are, Ohio is going to win big, big, big for Donald Trump. Ohio is going to win big. I hate having my back to people. How's everybody back here doing? Good? Woo! I love it. I love it. I spent nearly 3.5 decades serving our country in uniform, and I will tell you, thank you. Thank you. Our veterans are getting worse treatment than the illegal immigrants coming into this country. Exactly. I mean, it's terrible. It is absolutely terrible what we see, what's happening to our veterans. I mean, and it's just it's unreal to me that we see these kinds of things going on where we're waiting in line, people can't get the kinds of medicines they need, they can't be taken care of. Our country should be showing our veterans a lot better care than what they're getting right now. When we think about Hillary Clinton, she breaks things. She fails at what she does. I mean, I could go rhyme and verse. You're talking about everything from the Russian reset, Libya, the rise of ISIS, what's going on in Yemen, the Iranian nuclear deal. I mean, she actually led the effort, the initial effort for the Iranian nuclear deal. Now think about that for a second. Iran is the leading state sponsor of terrorism, and our country gave the leading state sponsor of terrorism a path to a nuclear weapon. Give me a break. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. She's the architect. She is the architect of failure. I mean, everything that she touches just is a disaster. When you look around the world, when you look around the country and the kinds of things that we are having a difficult time with. And I'll tell you, the jobs in this country, illegal immigration, we don't even know how many illegal immigrants we have in this country. We don't even know it. I mean, we think it's 12 million, could be 15 million, could be 20 million illegal immigrants in this country now. Our country doesn't even know how many we have, and that's a problem. That's a big problem. We don't, and that's a great point. So, because a lot of people will talk about the temperament, Mr. Trump's temperament. I will tell you, you know what his temperament is? His temperament is a temperament of winning, and it's about winning. I love it. How you doing? I got some friends here. I love having served in the military, because in the military it doesn't make any difference. You can have long breaks in contact, and when you see somebody again, maybe 10, 15 years later, it's like old home week. It's like brothers or sisters again, and it's an unreal feeling. So thank you for all the veterans, all of our military, all of the men and women who serve in our law enforcement. We have unbelievable people in our country, and we need to tap into that potential. One of the things that I like to talk about in these kinds of things is that, it's why am I here? Why do I stand here? And I'll tell you what, I mean, I've spent my entire adult life serving this country, and I love it. I miss it. I miss every day of being in uniform. But when I look at, I have a couple of children, and I have a couple of grandchildren, and I will tell you, and everybody in this room that's about my age and older knows this. You all know this. That this is sort of our time. This is going to be our last shot with this particular direction that our country's going. Because if we don't get this one right, we don't get this election right, and that's why I say this election is about the heart and soul of the United States of America, then our children and our grandchildren are going to be affected, and they don't even know it yet. They don't even know it. So we have got to get this one right. So in 12 days or whatever, you make sure you get out and you vote for Donald Trump to be the next president of the United States of America. I mean, look at these beautiful children right here. Raise those kids up. Hold them up high. Both that nice, two little beautiful, look at these beautiful children. I mean, they don't even know. They don't even know. But this is not, we've been around for a couple of 100 years, but I will tell you, it can be taken from us just like that. Trust me, there is evil around the world. There's evil in this country. And it's for children like these great, beautiful children. That's why we have to get this election right. I mean, this is unbelievable. And you all know this. I mean, everybody out here, you know what I'm saying is right. This is so important. I mean, think about the Supreme Court of the United States of America. The Supreme Court of the United States of America, if God forbid, if Hillary Clinton gets into the presidency and she takes 2 or 3 of those Supreme Court justices, you can forget about the direction of our Constitution. You're going to forget about some of the amendments, like the freedom to bear arms, right? I mean, unbelievable. You can forget about those things. The health care, look at the disaster of the health care bill that's happening right now. You're seeing it. I mean, where the prices are going up on Obamacare. I mean, what a disaster. I mean, it's unreal. It is unreal. So the kinds of things that Donald Trump's talking about, and he'll say this again, and I think it's a great line. He says the 3 most beautiful words in the English language are jobs, jobs, and more jobs, right? Exactly. And also, because I love talking about our military, when he talks about our military, trust me, our military is depleted. Our military is not as ready, they're not as modern, they're not as capable as they once were. We still have, thank God, we have the best men and women serving. We have these incredible human beings that still decide to join our armed forces to go do things that most people wouldn't even imagine doing. But they're not getting the equipment, They're not getting the resources, and frankly, they're being deployed far too often for reasons that none of us understand. So our military needs to be strengthened immediately, and Donald Trump's going to do that. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, drain and hashtag drain that swamp, drain the swamp. Hashtag drain the swamp. That's right. And the other is hashtag make America great again. MAGA, do that. I mean, this is an unbelievable time for our country. That's an interesting sign you got out there. It's quite the sign. As I look around. So, hey, I'm really up here just to kind of help out, and I will tell you that for me, you know, the last time that I was involved in politics was when I was in high school. We have an unbelievable cesspool inside of Washington, D.C., inside of the bubble of Washington, D.C. And there's one thing, a big thing that Donald Trump has put his finger on, and that is the underappreciated people of this country. And why, I'm telling you, Washington, D.C. does not appreciate the people of this country. They'll come in here and they're going to ask you for this, ask you for that, ask you for your vote, and then they'll take your money and they'll give you back nothing. They will give you back nothing. We have got, I mean, our country, our Constitution, and our country is about individual liberty. Our country is about individual liberty, individual rights. And that's what makes us so strong. It's not about the rights of our government. It's not about the rights of our government. It's not about what our government wants. It's what the people want. And that's what our country is based on. And so you know what the people want? The people want change. People want big change. And the people want a guy like Donald J. Trump to be the next president of the United States. So thank you so much. Thank you very much, folks. Appreciate all you're doing. Thank you so much for your support, and God bless America. Thank you.